Now broadcasting from beautiful downtown Tallahassee, it's Classic Movie Reviews with Snark.
Welcome to today's show. My name is John. As always, you can subscribe to the show on iTunes or follow the links to social media in the podcast show note. You can also go to snarkymoviereviews.com to read notes, bios, and other random movie thoughts. Remember, this show is completely free and independent. All I ask is that you jump over to iTunes and give me a review. Today's movie is Mark of the Vampire, 1935, and it's a great one. Bela Lugosi is great as always, but the standout performance of this movie is really Carroll Borland as the vampiress Luna. We will get to her in a bit, but first I want to briefly touch on the four actors we have seen before. Lionel Barrymore played the role of investigator/Professor Zelen. We introduced Barrymore in episode 25, Key Largo, 1948. Of course, Bela Lugosi played the vampire Count Mora. We first introduced Lugosi in episode 10, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, 1943. Lionel Atwill, the master of authority roles, played Inspector Newman. Atwill was first covered in episode 9, Son of Frankenstein, 1939. Donald Meek played the role of Dr. Doskel, the local medical professional. This wonderful actor was recently introduced in episode 61, Stagecoach, 1939. Jean Hersholt played the role of Baron Otto, the warden of Irene, Elizabeth Allen, after the death of her father, Sir Carroll Borland, Holmes Herbert. Hersholt was Danish and started making films in Germany by 1906. In 1913, he immigrated to the U.S. He moved to Hollywood the next year and never bothered to work on Broadway. Through the teens, he was a bit player in silent movies. By the 1920s, he was getting bigger roles. Some of his earlier roles include The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, 1921, and Greed, 1924. His first sound film was The Climax, 1930. This was followed by Grand Hotel, 1932, The Mask of Fu Manchu, 1932, with Boris Karloff, and a hot, young, and evil Myrna Loy. He was also in Dinner at 8, 1933. Of course, he played a creepy role in Mark of the Vampire, 1935. He was a veteran actor and was in many roles such as authority figures and doctors. He acted with Sonia Henney in her first Hollywood film, One in a Million, 1936, and played the grandfather in Heidi, 1937, opposite Shirley Temple. He stumbled into a couple of roles where he was a country doctor in The Country Doctor, 1936, and Five of a Kind, 1938. He gave generously to support actors that were not as fortunate as himself. He died in 1956. Carroll Borland played the role of vampiress Luna. Before I go any further, I want to say that you have most likely seen a picture of Borland from the role and may not know where it came from. Borland's look for this movie was the inspiration for future female vampires with her waist-length raven hair, designer shroud, pale flesh, and bright lips. Lily Munster, Elvira, and the Plan 9 from Outer Space, Vampira, Malia Nurmi, were all modeled on her. Borland was born in 1914 and only had 5 film credits, and these were decades apart. It has been reported that she met Bela Lugosi in a play where she was one of the generic victims. Based on this meet, she received this role. She was great in this role, but had very few speaking lines. She wrote a book on her life, and it came out in 1994, a month after she died. Story. This story is a fairly simple tale. It begins with a group of gypsies huddling around a fire outside a church as they gather and apply bat thorn. An old crone picking bat thorn in the cemetery that night is frightened by a bat. It switches to a tavern where the owner is advising a middle-aged couple to spend the night. The local doctor, Dr. Doskel, Donald Meek, comes flying into the tavern at full speed.
Good evening. It's a lovely evening.
Well, Doctor, for one who is not afraid of the dark, you have been pushing your horse pretty fast.
Well, you know horses. Once they get started from home, there's no stopping them.
The tavern owner finally drops the bomb that vampires are in the old castle and kill at night. It is 2 weeks before Irene Borland, Elizabeth Allen, is to be married to her fiancé, Fedor Vincenti, Henry Wadsworth. Irene's father, Sir Carroll Borland, Holmes Herbert, is found murdered with 2 puncture wounds in the neck and all of the blood drained from his body. In the morning, Dr. Doskel stands over the body of Sir Carroll and tries to convince Police Inspector Newman, Lionel Atwill, that the death is the work of vampires. Newman is not buying it.
And you? Why didn't you come to the castle at once when Yan telephoned?
Because Yan told me Sir Carroll was already dead.
Was your medical license with Yan to certify the death of your patrons?
No, of course not. But it was night, and I realized there was nothing I could do.
Oh, I see. You're no moonflower. You're a morning glory.
The butler says a bat woke him before he discovered the body. The now guardian of Irene, Baron Otto von Zindel, Jean Hersholt, consoles her about the death. Her fiancé Fedor arrives at the murder scene as well. They have a coroner's inquest, and the local villagers are content to blame the death on the vampires living at the old castle, Count Mora Bela Lugosi, and his daughter Luna, Carroll Borland. The cause of death is ruled as unknown, and Irene goes to live in the house of Baron Otto. After a year, the wedding plans are resumed. One morning, Fedor staggers in, with 2 marks on his neck that he got while he fell by the castle.
I was running to the train, and then by the castle I fell. I must have struck my head.
Oh, you poor dear. Here, drink this.
Fedor, you say you fell by the castle? When I came to, it was dawn. I was too weak to move. I just lay there. It seemed hours before I was able to drag myself here.
Annie, the doctor, quick, Dr. Doskel. Fedor, those wounds. My father.
The Count and Luna are shown walking around the abandoned castle and estates. She is followed closely by a bat. People begin seeing Luna, and the hysteria increases. Luna draws Irene out onto the patio and attacks her, but she is not bitten. Inspector Newell calls in noted vampire expert Professor Zelen, Lionel Barrymore. Zelen confirms the vampire attacks to Dr. Doskel and Baron Otto.
I broke off my sentence for Miss Borodin's sake. There is no more foul or relentless enemy of man in the occult world than this dead-alive creature spewed up from the grave. True.
Zelen orders Batthorn to be placed on the doors and windows. Baron Otto finds a lease for the castle that was recently signed by Sir Carroll, even though he has been dead a year. Zelen explains that everyone killed by a vampire becomes one. I like this traditional vampire lore. Irene comes downstairs and says she heard her father's voice calling her. That night, Baron Otto and Inspector Newell go to the crypt of Sir Carroll. They are followed by a bat. In the crypt, they find that Sir Carroll is not in his coffin. Zelen explains the vampire problem to Fedor and tries to send him away. As the maid and butler are spreading the bat thorn, they see Count Mora in the house as he transforms from a bat. Zelen, Count Otto, and the inspector see Count Mora, Luna, and Sir Carroll walking in the mist. Back at the castle, Sir Carroll plays his organ while Count Mora and another man watch, and a bat flies overhead. The inspector and Otto look into the window just in time to see Luna descending from above on bat wings.
Sir Carroll? Are you sure? Are you sure it's a cow? Yes.
That night, Irene is attacked again. The next day, the inspector, Count Otto, and Zelen go to the castle to find the vampires. They see a bat, and the inspector starts blazing away at it. They search the lower part of the castle and find the body of Sir Carroll. Baron Otto tries to kill Sir Carroll. Zelen explains that they must all be killed at once or the others will fall on them.
You gone mad? One more stupid act and we'll be lost. Please don't leave him like this.
And expose ourselves to the vengeance of the others? Why, their fury would follow us to the ends of the earth. No, we must destroy them all together. Come.
The trio loses their light and gets trapped in the castle. Irene starts acting like she has something to tell Fedor, but she says she can't. That night, Luna leads Irene to the castle as well. Fedor follows her to the castle. At the castle, Irene sees all of the vampires, including her dead father. Zelen and Count Otto hear Sir Carroll playing the organ. They have lost the inspector somewhere. Luna is about to bite Irene's neck when Fedor breaks in through a window. Count Mora grabs Fedor and pushes him away. In the basement, Zelen hypnotizes Baronato. He tells him it is a year earlier on the night of Sir Carroll's murder. Irene goes and sits by her father, who is playing the organ. Then she says she can't do it. Her father says, "Mrs. Borton, you must." Inspector Newell pops into the room, and she says that the actor looks so much like her father that she can't go through with it.
No, I can't do it.
But Miss Barton.
I can't go on.
But you must. You wouldn't fail us now, Miss Barton.
Inspector Newman, I can't go through with it. He looks so much like Father, even his voice.
The inspector talks her into continuing their secret plan. They also remind her that they suspect Baronato was behind the first attack on Fedor. Professor Zelen is really the chief inspector of the Prague police. Baronato reenacts the murder. It is revealed that Baronato wanted to marry Irene. Ugh. Also, Otto spikes Sir Carroll's medication. Otto prepares to cut Sir Carroll's neck with a penknife and heats a glass to suction the blood. The inspector and Zelen arrest Otto and de-hypnotize him.
Baronato, you're under arrest for the murder of Sir Carroll Borland. You were very clever in concealing the motive of your crime. We never dreamt it was Miss Borland you were after. Friends, take him out the car.
Irene explains to Fedor that she could not tell him about the trick. Upstairs, Count Mora and Luna are packing their trunk. It turns out they were actors from Luna's Batwoman Theater, hired by the police to trap Otto. Count Mora decides to add vampire to their act.
This vampire business has given me a great idea for a new act. Luna, in the new act, I will be the vampire. Then you watch me. I gave all of me. I was greater than any real vampire.
Sure. But get off your makeup.
Yes, and help me with some of this packing.
I really like that Professor Zelen had traditional vampire lore, that everyone bitten by a vampire becomes a vampire, not just the selected few. I do wonder why they went and visited the crypt in the middle of the night. This is a problem I have with all vampire movies. They wait until a quarter till sundown before they go investigate the vampire's lair. I'm out 7:30 in the morning, Get a good night's sleep and just go there and check it out first thing. World famous short summary: be careful with vampires because they may be part of a troupe. The EPUB for subscribers is on the site for about 3 more episodes, so drop by and get your free copy. If you enjoyed this week's show, please tell your friends, and if you really want to help, drop over to iTunes and give me a review. If you want to comment, recommend a movie, or just say hi, follow the links in the show notes to my site. Beware the Moors.
Let no one leave. Move on, yet your power. We will not stop until we have discovered the vampires who seek the life of this beautiful girl and her lover. Watch out! They may be hovering over you, or you, or you! Danger stalks through the night. No one is safe.
Their fury would follow us to the ends of the earth. No, we must destroy them all together.
Scourge of mankind, they shall be found. I hereby summon to this place next week every person within the sound of my voice. You shall be judges of this eerie conspiracy. Here we shall meet Lionel Barrymore, Elizabeth Allen, Bela Lugosi, Jean Hersholt, Lionel Atwill. Mark of the Vampire.